everybody, and welcome to Local Marana Live. This is a special campaign edition because I don't know if you've noticed. You probably haven't noticed, Clint, but it's campaign season.
Yeah, no.
There's an air of politics around us, and if you drive around, as an example, Ina and Thornydale area. Which, judging by the traffic, every single human in the history of the universe drives through Oracle or Ina and Thornydale at some point.
Supposedly 54,000 a day.
Ah, yeah. See, that's almost everyone in the country. I think.
No one in the county for sure.
That you probably have seen the signs, a sign or two, and I'm curious. Before we throw it over to weather, I'd like to plant a seed because I'd be curious from our audience and our listeners, and you can hop in on the chat if you're listening live. And
or give us a call, 373-2059.
Exactly. And I'm curious, what's your favorite sign? Because everybody sits there at an intersection and you're just kind of staring and you're reading the names. Some you can read, some you can't even read. But I think everybody's got a favorite, and I'd be curious to our listeners, what's your favorite sign right now? Now, the caveat is it can't be your favorite politician. Like, let's take that out of it.
Unless that's that sign.
If it matches, that's cool. But if you could select a sign, what's looking best right now? And also, I'd be curious, what's your least favorite sign? Because
that wouldn't be because you don't want that candidate,
right,
just the reverse.
Just from an artistic and aesthetic a sign thing. So we'll plant that seed. Be curious. Hop in the chat if you have a sign or you want to share.
And if you don't have one to pick from, you need to open your eyes when you're driving and quit texting.
Yeah.
Because there's literally hundreds on every street corner.
Right. Maybe check it out and pick one. Yeah. But before we get into our special campaign edition, we do need to take a look at the traffic and weather with our man in the box, David Semirano.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between. It's good to have you back. So we are looking at the traffic first. We'll zoom in together from the satellite that we don't own.
Nor are we paying rent for.
Everything's looking good on the streets here on the northwest side in Marana, Arizona. And you might be feeling a little bit soupy outside. The humidity has increased over the last couple of days. We saw the monsoon kick into gear, and a lot of people love this time of year. So today we're looking at a high of 105 with a 30% chance of storms. Tomorrow, 104. And you know what's great, guys? Storm chances are not going anywhere. We're looking all the way into July 5th, still with storm chances. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water.
I think Wednesday, the last time I checked, was 88 was the high. That's a week from today. And I think 88 was
88.
I saw that on
on
the app that you insisted that we looked at.
Yeah,
David.
it's
in the White Mountains.
It's
no.
I'm seeing 96 on that day, but still that's significantly lower than 105. I cannot talk to
That's
this
the thing about Arizona, though. You see the forecast. Now, when it's 110 for 4 days and 10 days in a row, you know that's legit, but it can change pretty quickly.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, when the weather changes, which it happens pretty regularly in July. But I've been thinking, I see a lot of, and sorry, we've contributed a lot of those signs.
That's true.
We have contributed.
True. And that's why I don't like to share which ones we have. Because I want
not at all.
Unbiased opinions. What's your favorite sign?
That's a great question because they honestly, to me, they all basically have the same formula. The colors are different,
right?
But they all are adopted kind of the same style.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I think a sign, especially, you got a very limited window of attention, right? You're just sitting. You might be sitting at that intersection for 30 seconds, or you might drive by, and so you want to know the name, what they're running for, and that's about it. That's about what you're going to get out of it. Now, you're not going to get anything politically behind who they are and what they're doing, but I bet you know that right now Juan Ciscomani's running for something.
Yeah.
Because he's got massive signs everywhere.
They're the size of my house.
Yeah. I wouldn't say they're my favorite sign, but his might be the most impactful as far as spreading the message you just mentioned. Name, last
See it
name,
everywhere. Yeah.
a little bit, the one, and in the little corner, it's got Congress. There's
Right.
not much else on there.
Yeah. Now there could be a flip side to that. People could be put off by the amount of giant Juan Siscomani signs on there, and there could be a negative. There could be a breaking point where you're like, I don't like this dude because his signs are huge and he's everywhere. Like,
They
how
are
much
huge.
money is that? That's a lot of money to spend. So you could look at it both ways, but we all know that Juan Siscomani's running for something.
You know, I think there's been an evolution, and I think it's science, marketing skills, because as a younger man growing up, there was a lot of pictures of the candidate with their family.
Okay.
Especially if they had a lot of
On a
kids
sign
on
that
the
would
sign.
actually be on the side
And then
of the
you
road.
didn't know who. I heard you referencing. I don't even know maybe in a meeting we were in. You don't. At the end of the day, I think you were talking to Anupam. You don't even really know what they're selling at the end of the day.
Yeah,
You saw a picture.
It's name recognition.
Yeah. So I see a
that's the
person
purpose
and
of
their
the sign.
family, and they're great looking, but I have no idea what they're running for, what they're doing, etc.
Yeah. I did see a terrible sign once. And that's why I say I'm curious as what what would be your least favorite sign that's out there right now? Because there was one. It was 2 years ago, and I'm not going to mention the candidate, but it was a sign of a baby fetus.
Oh, I know.
And so obviously it caught my attention. I was like, there's a sign of a baby fetus, but I don't know why or who it is or who's running.
Yeah.
And then you have to sort through it, and you're like, okay, so that's what they call in the game the controversial advertisement. Get your attention, get the shock value. It had a
I remember
negative
that one.
effect on me personally.
I remember
Did you
that.
guys see the little mini square signs somebody put next to one of Juan's signs? I saw it on Ina, but there's a little square and it just says Rhino and it has an arrow. So I was like, oh no, come on, where's the class?
Hey, at least they didn't break any federal campaign
yeah.
laws by defacing or.
Yeah, but
no, I'm
I,
just
did
that
saying.
is
I did
funny.
not see a valid disclaimer on that little square.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I don't know how long it's gonna.
Yeah, and you know what? Those disclaimers
know.
have to be there, and there's a certain size ratio to that. So
Right. Which, speaking of, is a rhino is a Republican in name only, right?
right.
So is Dino on the other side
Well,
of
it should be.
And then
Shouldn't
you can
it?
make a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
raptor that
Yeah.
Dino
points to
nuggets?
A
with
little raptor.
the little
yeah.
the little dino. So at least it's fair on both sides.
So you know what we're
It'd be
proving
interesting.
right now is that you can have fun discussing this because
Well, yeah, everybody's seeing them.
Yeah,
They're
we're-
everywhere.
So guys,
It's like a swap meet, guys.
get-
It's a
get-
political
yeah.
swap meet.
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to get into it, but I use that term.
Gilbert versus Arizona. What was it? What was the
Yeah,
case?
Reed versus Gilbert.
Reed
Reed
versus
versus
Gilbert.
Gilbert. If you want to go get some history of that, it's a great read. 9-0 United States Supreme Court validated my opinion. I'm sure I wasn't the only one that held that. I use that exact term.
Interesting.
Every time we're having an election, and I was talking to an elected official who was pushing back a little bit on my take.
Okay. Did you guys hear about the guy in Gilbert last year that was putting up political signs, but he wasn't running for anything? In his
I
name?
was thinking about that too.
Did
No,
you?
I didn't hear about that.
Okay, so I'm gonna. So
Yeah.
his name's kind of inappropriate, but I think his name was Dixon,
Okay.
first name, and then his last name was Butts. So he was.
You should have known that it probably wasn't a legit candidate.
Yeah, he got in trouble though. I remember. Let me see. That's Gilbert.
Yeah, because there's no
a good
permits
use of your
required.
time.
You just have to be legitimately running
Because
for
you
an
could
office.
ask for a write-in, though, right?
Well,
could you
that's
put a
true.
sign and say, write in this candidate?
I heard a podcast recently that actually discussed that.
Hmm.
They were talking, name recognition and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
they were faking a candidate, not trying to
Yeah, but
affect
just
any outcome.
trying to figure it out.
They were doing some research, and so they were really careful. And they just mentioned name. They didn't even mention. You got it, haven't you, David?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
I'm
heard
sorry.
that.
I started laughing.
Gotta
Oh
throw
my
that.
gosh.
Do you have it on
All
the
right,
screen?
Yeah. Here we go.
Have you got it?
Hold on.
Dixon Butts. I remember that. Hey, those are some
American
good.
Needs.
Those are some good-looking signs, man.
Yeah, he actually
He
has
spent
a
some
really good
bucks.
sign.
Yeah.
Props. And he's got a corgi.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious.
All right.
Thanks for
Okay, you're welcome.
thanks for
A
sharing
corgi
that,
wearing
David.
sunglasses.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh.
All right. So since we are,
Yeah.
this is the special edition, political edition of Local Marana Live. We've set the foundation for a lovely guest that we have coming up next that we'd like to do a quick ad break and have a discussion with Stephanie, who is a campaign manager.
Yeah. Stick around, guys. She's a rising star for sure.
Yeah, we can get her background, kind of see how she sees things like signs.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in Southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltalon.com. Again, that's selltalon.com.
Hi, I'm Melissa Zuppi, running for the Marana Town Council. As a resident of Marana, I've witnessed the positive growth that has created a strong community where people in all stages of life want to live. Unfortunately, with growth comes traffic. One of my top priorities and goals is to work towards securing funding for the improvement of Marana's high-traffic I-10 interchanges and local roadways. Let's keep Marana moving forward together. Vote Melissa Zuppi, Marana Town Council.
Hi, I'm Ed Honey, and I'm running for mayor of the town of Marana. I can assure you that if you have water now in the town of Marana, you will have it for the rest of your life. Water is not going to go away. Our water table in North Marana has gone from 300 feet down to 140 feet at the current status. Water will be here forever. Please support Melissa Zuppi, Roxanne Ziegler, and Ed Honey for Marana Town Council.
I'm Edgar Soto, and I'm running for Pima County Supervisor District 3. I am blessed to be supported by these three important women in my family, my mom and two sisters, and I'm humbled to be endorsed by the National Organization for Women. They are confident that I will improve the lives of women in Pima County when I'm elected in November.
Join Edgar Soto in building a better future for Pima County. Together, we can create good jobs, protect our environment, and ensure everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
Vote Edgar Soto. I'm Roxanne Ziegler, and I'm running for re-election for Marana Town Council. I've worked for you, the residents of Marana, since 1995, when I started with the Planning and Zoning Commission. 2 years later, I won my first election. We started with a blank canvas, and I'm proud to have helped shape our community into what you see today. In uncertain times, we need experience and proven leadership. I would be honored.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our special political edition for where we're talking local politics here on Local Marana Live. And before we went to the break, we discussed that we wanted to get a campaign manager on here, and so we found what we've seen locally so far as the best in the business in Stephanie Montano. Mm-hmm. Did I pronounce that okay?
Yes, you did.
Stephanie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. That was just a top-notch introduction. Appreciate that.
Yes. So most people don't meet a lot of campaign managers, and you see campaigns, and we kind of talked earlier. We're asking, what's your favorite sign out there right now? Because everybody's seeing all the signs. It's like a signs arms race right now. Yeah. How many signs can you put on one corner? Mm-hmm. And so we all are aware that politics are happening, but we don't see a lot of the behind the scenes and kind of the perspective of a campaign manager. Mm-hmm. So this is perfect to, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little peek behind the curtain as to your background and how you got into this business and what you're doing from a campaign management standpoint.
Yeah, it's been definitely a roller coaster. I will say my favorite sign is probably like April Ignacio's with the like forklift, everything. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why. I just think that's so creative and great. But anyways.
No, that's good. That's good because we've been asking, put your vote in. What is your favorite sign?
Where the stats coming up so far?
That we're just threw it out there, so we're gonna
okay.
tally them. We'll
find
give it
out.
about a week and we'll see. But we got one vote from Stephanie.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the creativity on
I was
that.
gonna pick that one too, Stephanie. So just to let you know.
I know everyone else is just run of the mill. It's like it's something different. You know?
Yeah.
So for me, I was born and raised in Tucson. For all the Tucson folks, I went to Flying Wells. That's always like the first question we ask.
Yeah. What high school did you go to? Yeah.
And we can decide whether or not we competed against each other in sports.
That's true.
So yeah, I did like cross country and track there. And then I went on to the U of A. I got a full ride scholarship, which was amazing.
Wow. For sports or for academics?
For academics.
Okay.
Yeah, because growing up, my family was low income, and I think combined income for both my parents was like under $50,000, and so I knew from early on that I needed to do all the things academically in order to seal that scholarship in, and then I studied business management, education minor, and I really didn't know what I was going to do at that point. And I was like, okay, I was very I don't know, at some point I saw like the stats of the breakdown of Fortune 500 CEOs. And I was like, I'm going to be one of the few Latinas up there. And that's why I went into like business management.
Okay.
Because I was like, I'm going to break all these glass ceilings and whatever.
Love it.
And then I got to Eller and I was like, this is really my vibe. This is like,
it's not for everybody.
I'm more of like with the education folks.
Yeah.
So I was in Trio and I did Arizona Insurance and I ended up getting into McNair as well, and they helped me basically apply to graduate school.
Okay.
And so I went to UC Berkeley for my master's in education policy. Fell in love with the Bay Area. Lived there for like a year, and I was like, I could be here forever.
Oh, wow.
If the cost of living wasn't so
right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, beautiful place to be, great weather, but probably a little pricey.
Yep, just a little pricey. So yeah, I was just living in this little tiny studio apartment there, 2 blocks from campus, and imagining my life there for the next XYZ years. I just happened to go to one of my classmates, I think it was like birthday party, and I met someone there that was living in DC. And I was basically telling them like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Like, I'm looking for a job, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, we're looking actually to hire some folks at my colleague's organization, PBS. And I was like, okay, I'm listening. And basically they offered me a position at PBS, and I declined it. And I was like, no, I really want to live here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
My heart was set on that. And then I think the senior vice president's admin called me. She was determined. By the end of that, I don't know, hour-long conversation, I was like, all right, I'm going to uproot my whole life
the Bay Area
and move all the way
back home. Right?
To DC, no.
Oh, the DC first thing. Yeah.
So then...
So that's quite a change.
I packed up all my stuff in my little Toyota Corolla and drove across country 3 days.
Wow.
And just showed up in DC and found a place with roommates and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, let's just see where this goes.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen here, but... I think one of the most compelling reasons why I ended up at PBS was because of the leadership I was going to be under. So the senior vice president at the time was Juan Sepulveda, and he's just had like an incredible background. He started out the Rockefeller Foundation. He was the Texas state director under the first year that Obama ran. And then he worked in the White House under the White House initiatives for education excellence for Hispanic students. And I was just like, wow, this would be incredible just to like be around this human. And so when I got there, I was like, yeah, this was the right decision. He's the best boss I
Awesome.
will probably ever have in my life. He just has a different type of way of approaching leadership that is very like refreshing and open, and a lot of it is based in like adaptive leadership and systems thinking. And so I worked there for 5 years as his like right-hand woman, and we just did everything, and it was so exciting and fun. And we would travel across the country, visiting local PBS stations, bringing folks together for community engagement, leadership development, capacity building, basically trying to help the local stations become a stronger system within their community and really make sure that they're reflecting what their community needs. And yeah, it was amazing, and I really loved working with all the like general managers of the local stations, running different leadership programs, and yeah, I just felt like a sponge, and it was just a really great like jumping off point. And so obviously being in DC, majority of the people that you are around are working in politics at some level. And I have some friends that work in the White House now, some friends that I've worked on like previous like Bernie Sanders campaigns and everything. And for a long time, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, politics can be messy and like toxic and just too much. And so for a long time, I was just like, no, that seems like too crazy for me. I like my education side.
And you really like what you're doing and who you were working with, and you're getting a lot of mentorship. And so it's hard to say, yeah, I'm gonna transition.
Right. And so a lot of it came down, like even folks would be like, okay, when are you running?
Right.
Like, let's slow down here. I don't even know if I want to get into this to begin with.
Right.
And then I ended up moving over to the Aspen Institute, which is just a local, not local, but national DC nonprofit that basically like a think tank, and we do a lot of different things. So I did education and leadership development within that, and we worked with the national community college presidents from across the country to basically help them kind of do the same thing that we were helping with the PBS general managers of like creating better systems to really make sure that they're meeting their community needs, expanding access equity, all that good stuff. And after that, pandemic happened. Moved back home to Tucson because I was like, why am I paying this ridiculous rent in DC to work from home for 2 years when I could be paying a mortgage that is less than my rent for my 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh, yeah, right. So then you hop in your Corolla.
I hopped back in my Corolla and I drove another 3 days back home. And I got back and I was like, okay, this is great. Like I'm near my family. I have like 2 young nieces and nephew that I get to like see grow up and do all the like fun Thea things that I get to do with them. And then it just got to a point where I'm like, okay, I feel like I've done everything I needed to do at the Aspen Institute. I've reached, there's no more like level up I can do here growing. And so I was like, okay, let's take a break. 2 months, maybe. Travel the world. Went to Japan, Hawaii. I don't know, all these different places I can't even remember now.
Oh, cool. Can't take your Corolla to Hawaii, though.
No, I can't. I've thought about it. No. And yeah, I just ran into Edgar, and I was like, oh, I just quit the Aspen Institute. And he's like, oh, I need help on my campaign.
Yeah, so that was what, a couple months ago?
That was early May.
Okay. And so you hadn't run a campaign yet, but you had had a lot of political exposure. And through PBS, you had, seen how a lot of systems kind of work and operate together for community involvement.
Right.
So it made you a good candidate, is what it sounds like, to be a campaign manager. How was he able to convince you to do that?
Honestly, I think it was just because of I knew him. He was one of our Aspen presidential fellows.
Okay.
And so I knew the type of person that he was and what he, like, where his heart is. And I was like, yeah, I'll jump on board for that.
Yeah. So it started with a relationship where you knew him, because I would imagine as a campaign manager, you don't want to just sign on to anybody.
No.
Because if you're trying to operate a winning campaign, you want somebody you can believe in. I mean, you're not a sleazebag attorney. You're not a defense attorney.
Nope.
So
Not
you
in this
want to be able
life.
to build a campaign that actually
Yeah.
supports something that you also believe in.
And I think realizing, I'm sure you've realized this too over your career, part of it, what you end up doing for a living is the work, but a big part of it also is the people you're doing it with.
Absolutely.
And so I really wanted to make sure that my work aligned also with like who I was surrounding myself with.
Sure.
Our coworkers are people we spend sometimes more time with them than our family and
Yes,
friends.
very true.
And so I think that was really important to me, and I felt like Edgar and I had a solid foundation, and I just believed in like his message and his platform, and I felt like our values aligned. And so and I was like, I haven't done this before, but I'm willing to like put all my marbles in this,
Cool.
this basket. So yeah.
So tell us a little bit about
How it's
Edgar
been going.
and how it's been going, because to just kind of reset it for our audience, Edgar is in the Democratic primary right now, Edgar Soto, and he's running in District 3, right? And so how is it going? How has it been going so far? I've seen a lot of stuff through social media and different things, and what I've appreciated with your campaign so far is he seems out there canvassing a lot. You see him in the community a lot, and I think that's got to be nothing but value add. When you're a good person, you want to be out there.
Yeah, no, he's constantly talking to folks, and I think if anyone has opportunity just to have one conversation with them, they know. Like you can tell when someone's like BSing you, or like just
If they're a politician,
if they're just saying things you want to hear.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is like him listening, and really understanding like, okay, what actually are your daily concerns and challenges and things you want to aspire for the day to day. So, yeah, I think it's going well.
Your role is very much organization and structure and staying on message. I'd imagine is that a challenge with a lot of competing interests, and I'm sure people, HOAs, all sorts of different groups want the politician's attention right now. So do you have to filter that? Do you have to sometimes be bad cop? How does that work?
Usually not. Everyone has been pretty good so far, so only good cop has been
All right.
out so far.
Nice, fun.
Bad cop has not made an appearance yet, but
Okay.
You never know.
Good. Hang on to it for now.
Yeah, so a lot of it is really just time management. It's like, how is Edgar using his time every day, and is that the best use of his time, or is there someone else that can do X, Y, Z? Like his son, Amauti, has been going out every corner and like putting up signs and making sure that all of those pieces are in. And then we have other folks like his sister helping recruit volunteers for canvassing. And so everyone has like their specific role of like, okay, and my job is to make sure that we're all going in the right direction. We're all on the same page. Everyone knows what their job is and how it fits into this bigger kind of puzzle. And and then Edgar's just kind of like our guiding light.
You know, and I can tell just how important that is to keep all of that structure. We're an ad agency, so we work with a lot of political clients and a lot of people in business. But if somebody comes in and they don't have a plan, or the plan's disjointed, or they don't have talking points, it's hard to stay on message. Like having a campaign manager that you can just interface, that you know exactly the message you're trying to send, you are able to keep all of that organized, because it's too much to do for somebody running for office. Because you want them to be authentic, right? You want them to be able to show up, be in the moment, and then you help strategize and keep everything organized. And that's an unsung hero behind a political campaign for sure.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges sometimes, especially just with candidates, is decision fatigue. And so they can be thinking about a million different things at any one moment. And I want to take off that weight at some level. I'm like, okay, I can make all these decisions for us. Like, you don't need to focus on that. You focus on
that's
like
very helpful.
The people and, you know, what you want to, the message you want to get out to them.
Yeah. So you feel it's going pretty good so far. Is there anything that kind of has been new to you where when you hopped into this position, you're like, oh, I didn't realize that was going on in the background, or I didn't realize this would be a challenge? Anything that maybe kind of stands out to you?
That's a good question. I think the toughest thing is always going to be fundraising. It's like, how do you find those folks that really have the like disposable income to be able to donate these like high amounts that you need in order to do the advertising, get the signs out, commercials, texting, all those things. And so that's been interesting because it's, I don't know, Tucson is a unique little demographic community. And we needed to just make sure we're finding those folks that are really pivotal in the community that others look up to. And, you know, they have been able to hopefully meet the community and whatever needs that they have. And so I think just being able to find those folks and see if they're on board with what we're trying to do here.
Okay.
And the future that we're imagining for Tucson.
Well, this platform's a good use for that, to help find those folks. So those who are listening, can you direct them to maybe a page or a way to get involved and find out more about what Edgar's about? And we're actually going to have him on here next, but then to be able to, because we want to be able to support good people that have a good heart and reason for why they're running for office. And how can they find him?
So our website is probably the best way. He also gives out his personal cell. So I'm sure he's already said that on the show before. So basically half of Tucson has that number now. But the website is sotoforsupervisor.com for the number 4. And we have a bunch of great stuff on there. His son is also managing that website too. Awesome. So it's, I'm sure he's grown a lot in this position and being able to learn a lot of things. I think that's the main.
Great.
Soto for Supervisor.
All right, Soto for Supervisor. We're getting our bumper music, meaning it's time for an ad break. Stephanie, so great to have you.
So great to be on.
Good luck with your campaign. Hopefully we can have you back before it's all over and you can give us some updates as to how it's going.
Yeah, I'd love to.
And when we return, we're going to have the man that is running for District 3, Edgar Soto, on our show. So thank you for listening to Local Marana Live Special Politics Edition. We'll be right back.
Discover the power of 88 Crime, where your anonymous tips are rewarded with cash. When you call in anonymously with a tip, you are given a code. With the code and a password, you can walk into a bank and redeem your reward anonymously. If your anonymous tip results in a felony arrest, you can claim up to $2,500 cash reward. Let's stop the silence on crime and strive for a safer community. For more information, please visit 88crime.org or call 88crime.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, CopperCreekCookies.net.
We can print anything on our soft vanilla logo cookies. We deliver them and other sweet treats locally. We are located at 4249 West Ina Road, Suite 121. Call us 520-300-1131. We bake smiles.
Copper Creek Cookies, Copper Creek Cookies, CopperCreekCookies.net.
Are you looking to establish a powerful online presence for your brand? Look no further than Live the Dream Media. Our team of experts possess the capabilities and skills necessary to make it happen. From creating compelling content to analyzing data and making strategic decisions, we've got it covered. Don't let a lack of social media know-how hold you back. Visit ltdmedia.net for more information.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltalon.com. Again, that's selltalon.com.
Hi, I'm Melissa Zuppi, running for the Marana Town Council. As a resident of Marana, I've witnessed the positive growth that has created a strong community where people in all stages of life want to live. Unfortunately, with growth comes traffic. One of my top priorities and goals is to work towards securing funding for the improvement of Marana's high-traffic I-10 interchanges and local roadways. Let's keep Marana moving forward together. Vote Melissa Zuppi, Marana Town Council.
Hi, I'm Ed Honey, and I'm running for mayor of the town of Marana. I can assure you that if you have water now in the town of Marana, you will have it for the rest of your life. Water is not going to go away. Our water table in North Marana has gone from 300 feet down to 140 feet at the current status. Water will be here forever. Please support Melissa Zuppi, Roxanne Ziegler, and Ed Honey for Marana Town Council.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Local Marana Live, where we have our special politics edition, because we got some. It is local politics season, and I would be curious, because Stephanie did chime in on our question that we had this morning. Now you can't pick your own sign,
Okay.
but do you have a favorite sign that you see out there that you just sit there and you go, oh yeah, that one stands out, or I like
Melissa
that sign.
Zuppi. She's, I don't know what Stephanie said, but the Zuppi, that one catches your eye. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a cool name. So it's kind of like Soto.
Yes.
Like Zuppi is easy to see and it just kind of stands out. Soto, I think, is the same way because it's nice and clean and short and easy to pronounce.
4 letters. That's like, it's just easy to remember, I think.
Yeah. You and me both. I got 4 letters in my last name. So
you got 2 first names.
2 first names.
2 first names. Yeah.
I heard never trust a guy with 2 first names, but I don't believe that.
Oh, Ricky Bobby. You got Ricky Bobby. You're good. Yeah. So,
oh, man.
You're good. You can trust that guy.
Edgar Soto. Welcome to the special edition. You are running for District 3. It's been a few months now.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie kind of helped set the table as to the background and how you guys met and what role that she's been serving and her opinion on how the campaign's going.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hear how you feel it's going so far. What's new? This is your first foray into politics. So how are you enjoying it so far?
I got to say this. So I was so green trying to figure this stuff out. What do I need to do? How do I need to do it? I got started late on my fundraising. So first financials come out. People are looking at my amount. That's my hydrogen water. The hydrogen water. So it's a quick little advertisement for them. So, we started to try to figure this stuff out. And for me, I wanted to get all my signatures. So I waited till all my signatures were completed and it got approved. And so I started really late. So people looked at my financials and they're looking, okay, he's raised about $4,000. His opponent's raised about $74,000. And so people weren't willing to give me any kind of funding or
they didn't think you had a shot at that point.
They didn't think I was a viable candidate. So I was just trying to do whatever I could to raise a few money here and, $25 here, 10 there, that kind of thing. And then some polling came out, and I don't know where it came from, some national polling, and it had me up there up top. Nice. So people started to see that and say, hey, maybe he is a viable candidate. So as soon as that happened, the money started coming in, endorsements started coming in because they saw I was a viable candidate. And a lot of that has to do, I've been in Tucson all my life. I was an athletic director, I was a dean of arts and humanities, I was a coach. And so I've come across a lot of people. And so for me, I think it was more so activating the relationships I've already had and organizing them. And then that kind of just got some momentum. And now, I got endorsed by SABA, Southern Arizona Home Builders Association, the Tucson Association of Realtors, National Organization for Women. And so that started to happen. And it's like, it really started to kind of put air in our tires and get us moving.
Yeah.
But here's the one thing that really just kind of set it off. So I'm going into a meeting with the Tucson Metro. They're interviewing candidates, right? and there's a lot of people in there, important people in our community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in that meeting, and I'm talking, just telling my story, trying to connect with the people and letting them know why I'm running, because it's nothing that I have personal agendas or personal policy. It's literally because I want to listen and I want to serve and I want to make sure that our community, our county is set up for generations to come.
Mm-hmm.
So go through that process. I leave the meeting, and as soon as I leave the meeting, I look at my donation deal, and I got about $3,500 from some people in that meeting. So it kind of wow, I was able to connect. They were able to understand my story, and so that kind of just got some things going, some momentum, and I'm feeling really good now. I mean, we've probably raised close to $50,000 now, which is not as much as our opponent, but I think it's moving in the right direction. But we've got this last surge, we got to really push to get some things done.
Yeah. One thing I've appreciated in looking at the District 3 race right now is you seem like a guy that's out there everywhere. Stephanie and I talked about it a little bit. You're out there canvassing. You got a great volunteer and support group that are doing that, family and friends and all your connections, like you said, because I'd imagine it's real important if you're going to represent District 3 in Pima County that you've been embedded in the community and you know how it works and you know what the needs are. So as you've been talking to people, what have you been finding some of the biggest needs of the voters are? What's most important on their mind right now?
I like a word that you just used, embedded, in our community. That reminds me, at Pima, we have embedded tutors that can help navigate. And embedded in our community, I like that word because I'm there to help our community navigate through these policies, through these laws, through these things that we have going. And I'm trying to make sure that people have what they need to be successful. But District 3 is unique that, you go from 134 miles of border in unincorporated Ajo, where I go to that community there, and their needs are, we need some 24-hour pharmacy. We need the ability that if one of our loved pets have something happens, that they can get to a veterinarian or somebody that can take care of them, because the closest place for them to go is about 100 miles away. So healthcare is a big issue for them. Accessibility to quality education is another issue. The bandwidth, the internet access, those kind of things. Because from my experience, when I've talked to people there in Ajo, they want to keep it 3,000 people in the summer, 5,000 in the winter. They like that small town, but they still would like to have some good jobs with better living wages and those type of things. So trying to create that opportunity for them. And then we're actually having a baseball, softball camp there on Saturday, because recreation and those type of activities is really important to them. Now, you move down to the Flowing Wells area, right? Flowing Wells, and that community is a little bit different. Their concerns are more of along the lines of, the unhoused, some of the homeless issues. I was talking to somebody, and they said somebody in the backyard was camped out in their backyard, and safety issues. So I think the big thing that I've learned is that every community, every area needs something different. And it reminds me of when I was an athletic director. So when I was an athletic director, I didn't tell my tennis coach how to coach, my football coach, even baseball, I didn't tell them. They told me what they needed to be successful, and I gave them what they needed, and then I get out of the way and let them do what they need to do. And that's kind of where I feel these communities, I need to hear from them. You tell me what you need, and I'll do my best for you to be successful and give you what you need. Here's another example. So this morning, I get a call, and he's called me yesterday morning. His name's Danny Hernandez, right? He's a coach baseball at Amphi High School and been really well known in the baseball world. His son Dante played for me and played professionally. But he is now he trains horses, right? Lives in 3 Points. There's a track out there. It's owned by Parks and Recreation. And so he's talking to me and say, hey, we need to get this place upgraded. I don't know everything about what he's talking about, but I was on the phone with him for half an hour yesterday. I was on the phone with him for 15 minutes this morning, and I'm just learning. I'm educating myself, because I need to be able to call him up when there's this policy coming down the line and say, hey, Danny, how's this going to impact 3 Points and what you do? And he needs to be able to call me and say, Edgar, there's this things that we need here. I need your help. So that's kind of what I'm learning. It's different.
So are you trying to say that being a good leader is being a good listener? Because that's what I'm hearing, and you don't see a lot of that in politics right now. Right now, the political landscape is very, I'm going to tell you how it is and how it needs to be, and this is where we're going.
Yeah.
But to be a true servant leader, you actually have to lead the people and listen to them.
Yeah. You know, we have a duopoly right now, right? You got the Republican, Democrats. You know, I want to listen to anybody or meet with anybody that wants to build community and wants to build pathways to prosperity, wants to build access to services or education. You know, I'm a vice president at the Desert Vista campus. I've been at Pima Community College for 28 years. I still teach a class there, teach a college readiness class, and I talk to students, hey, what is it that you need? You know, and so one of the things that I know is the reason they're there is they want a better life. They want to live a life of meaning and purpose, and they want to do that because they want to get a good job. They want to have a livable wage, and they want to make sure that they have the skill set. You know, one of the things in the Pima County Prosperity Initiative is workforce and education development. Like, we need to train our students, our community, for jobs of the future. You know, not training them in things that aren't going to exist anymore. So we need to be able to forecast, and we talk about, you know, Wayne Gretzky, see where the puck is going, right? We need to look if it's semiconductors, if it's, you know, Caterpillar and what they do, is it Raytheon? Like, we need to make sure that we also, the businesses and the industries we have here, to keep nurturing them, because we don't want, like, we all felt the loss when spring training left, right? We all, oh man, baseball's gone, our film's gone.
Right.
Well, we didn't nurture those relationships, and we got to always to make sure that we're giving those places what they need, or those industries or business, so that they're happy and they supply good jobs with good wages.
Yeah, and to do that right, that's a lot of work. And so signing up for something that is almost volunteer status, and knowing that if you want to do it the right way, it's going to be a heck of a lot of work. It sounds like everybody in District 3 has your personal cell phone.
Yeah.
So they all have access to you. How do you create enough balance in your life to be a great leader, but also stay recharged and have enough boundaries so you can make those good decisions?
I drink hydrogen water. No,
hydrogen water.
So here's what I do. And Scott, I love that question, because this is something I talk to my staff about, my employees, my son about, is one of the most important things we can do for others is to take care of ourselves. And I'm not saying that in a negative, in a selfish way, right? I say that in a way is I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to get up. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to drink water. I make sure I get enough sleep, so that when I'm out there representing Scott Robb and my son and Stephanie and people that have invested their time, I'm going to be able to show up and suit up for them. And I need them to do the same. I need them to take care of themselves. I need to make sure that they're getting, you know, whether it's they need mental health, they need therapy, they need counseling, they need to make sure they're getting enough sleep. Like, that's why we're going to get to the best version of ourselves. So, but one of the things that I've always done at Pima is I've always helped people build pathways to that, right? I've looked at my student athletes, my students, my staff, and I want to do the same for Pima County. I want to make sure that they have access to information, you know, access to services, so they can become the best version of themselves.
Yeah, because like you said too, whatever your political affiliation, every single student at Pima College wants a better life, and they're investing in a better life. And probably everybody, regardless of their political affiliation, has those same things. Where we divide is how you get there. And so it helps to have some leadership and perspective and experience in guiding people too, right? So you're a good listener, but you're also a good decision maker.
Yeah, and I think we do that by being inclusive, right? Inviting people in the room where that problem. I always say the people closest to the problem are most likely closest to the solution. But it's also creating the conditions in the space so you get, you know, people that are informed, well educated. Like bringing Stephanie in the group. You know, she didn't have a background in running campaigns, but she had a background of being able to think, being able to come up with solutions, and just a unique, innovative way. Team building, innovative ways to solve problems. But we only can do that if people are willing to sit at the same table, regardless of any kind of differences, and be able to have a civil dialogue and have some conversations. Or, you know, hey, how about this way? That's why having a diverse group is so important, right? Because the way people solve problems in some spaces might be different from other spaces, and then seeing how all this intertwines and we could come up with solutions. But you have to be open to talk to people. And the reason I give my number is sometimes people call me and they're not happy, right? But I got to be able to not listen to the tone maybe, but listen to what the problem is and how I can help them solve it.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I appreciate when you say diverse perspectives that I think is unique is you are endorsed by the National Organization for Women. Now, it's not just like women are only going to endorse women candidates because there are female candidates that are running against you.
Yeah.
Why do you think they're endorsing you in particular?
Well, I think just my whole message, right? My whole message is about creating access and opportunities for everybody, right? And to level the playing field for everybody, right? And one of the things that you look at least in the academic world, I'm going to use this as an example. So you'll see gaps, right? You'll see achievement gaps, GPAs, all this stuff. So Hispanic, African American, white, women, men, and all right, these gaps exist. We know that, okay? Now, what can we do to close these gaps with not taking away from anybody, with everybody increasing, right? And how do we do that in a way that is going to be inclusive, that's going to be representative of those groups? So, for example, right, at the campus that I'm at, we have some TRIO grants, right? TRIO grants are federally funded Title V grants that help us with support, with helping students navigate college, helping them, go on. Those are the type of programs that are really essential and important because we're not all starting at the same start line, right? Some people have had really challenging and difficult lives, and other people have had, they've had parents who've helped them navigate. They're not first generations, for example. So that's how we fix these things. But you don't want to take away from people. You want to just keep adding on. You want to keep helping. So, I think for the National Organization for Women, I've done some things as far as I've opened up 2 childcare centers at the Desert Vista campus for 0 to 5-year-olds. So early childhood education is huge for me because 90% of a brain is developed in those first 5 years. So there's this famous Nobel Prize-winning economist named James Heckman who says that for every $1 you put into early childhood education, you get up to $16 in return. So think about that, so if we can solve a lot of our problems, if we just do a better job with our early childhood education, because now they get to K-12 and they don't need those special services. We don't need as many jails or prisons. And so it's an investment in our future. So I know that, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we have access to, early childhood education.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, because if you just look at it very narrow focused, you're just saying, well, dollar for dollar, education is expensive. Most of the state budget goes to education already. Like, what are we doing? But it's not a dollar for dollar transaction. It's an investment that's going to compound over time because you're going to get educated, literate kids that have a skill, that are able to contribute to society, and like you said, not get into drugs and crime. And I appreciate being able to share that message to educate people as why it's important. And good education is important too, right? Not just here, somebody's going to teach you something.
Yeah. Well, things have changed so much. So not everybody needs a 4-year bachelor's degree. Some people just want to get skilled up. And, we have these things that Pima Community College are fast track programs, right? Whether it's in machinery, aviation, whatever it is, and fire science, right? I know you're a firefighter. One of the most important things that we do as leaders is keeping our community healthy and safe. And we do that with protecting our community with police officers, with firefighters, with nurses, with certified nursing assistants, LPN. So we need to make sure that we continue to support those programs that are going to take care of us. When it's all said and done, the most important thing is our health, right? So what can we put in place that people have to make sure that they're healthy and that they're operating at their highest level? So, so you've, let me ask you this. Sure. I do this sometimes. I switch it around. I'm going to ask you a question. When you were a firefighter, what was some of the biggest challenges you saw? Because you're out there driving around. You're not just putting out fires. I mean, most of the time you're dealing with somebody who just had a heart attack or something horrible just happened, a car accident.
Sure.
What are some things that you think that the county could do or people can do to to support you in that job and that role and what you needed to be successful?
Yeah, no, I love it. I would say controlling the controllables is a term that we'd use a lot because we're in a community where you have a lot of folks that are older and they need medical care because of strokes, heart attacks, and all that stuff. But you also have a lot of controllables. And where I see that is in substance abuse problems in communities. Because almost every gunshot I went on, countless car accidents that you go on, domestic violence calls, you name it, anything like that, substance abuse was involved. To some degree, somebody got drunk before they did that. I would notice people don't commit suicide sober that often. But to get them over to that edge to where they actually think that that's a good idea and a solution requires an inebriation for a lot of people. And so I was surprised as a paramedic at the amount of suicides that actually take place. But substance abuse was typically almost in lockstep in that. So trying to figure out, some of that is hope and purpose, right? Is if you got nothing going for you, you got no plan, why not drink at 9 a.m? Or why not just, make yourself a victim? Or if you don't have resources, then what's the point? You feel hopeless. And that's what I would say the biggest thing that a community supervisor could help with is helping with those resources for better mental health, helping people be proactive on substance abuse stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be kind of vulnerable here. I want to share with you a story because you brought it up, but the mental health part of it. So one of the things that we have at Pima Community College is we have some counseling services called Jorgensen's, right? So myself, my family have 6 free visits or count with a counselor, right? And so I had a student who was going through some difficult times, and I was trying to help this student, transgender student, male to female, having issues in classroom, all kinds of stuff going on. And I was just trying to help her navigate through this situation. And, she had called me one time and was threatening suicide. So we have a process that we go through, right? We did a wellness check. Anyways, a few days later, sad thing to say, she ended up committing suicide. Now, I had a colleague of mine that said, Edgar, you need to call Jorgensen's counseling. I said, I did that. I shared that with it. And he said, for you? I said, for me? I said, I don't need counseling in our Latino community. We don't counseling. You don't do that. We don't talk about our feelings. And so I said, I'm gonna call this up and try it out. So I called it up. They're asking me all kinds of questions. You do drug, this and that. And actually, the counselor's name was the same as my ex-wife, Dolores. And so I still get along with her, but I was like, wow, this ain't gonna work out. So I ended up calling another counselor, and Nick De La Rey's his name, and he was amazing. Like I started to like realize things about myself, and so it was one of the best experiences. Now I use my 6, I come up with another issue, and I keep talking because, when you want to get fit, you talk to a personal trainer. When you want to be better at a certain subject, you get a tutor. Now, when we want to figure out stuff mentally, we should get a therapist, and people have a stigma with that. But here's the example. If I told you, Scott Robb, take apart this table with your bare hands, and because you're physically fit, you probably could do it. But if I gave you a tool, a screwdriver, and a wrench, you'd probably get it done. And for me, that's what that therapy does. It gives you the tools you need to deal with the issues that happen, because tough times come. You can't avoid that, and it gives you the tools you need on how to handle that. So that's why I'm such an advocate for like what you said, the mental health stuff. So here's a question for you: where do you meet those people that are having the most challenging times? Where can I find them? Like, how do I get connected with them?
Sure, that's a great question, because oftentimes people that are having real substance abuse problems, drug problems, all of that, they become very isolated. Like, that's one of the nature, the movements of abuse is you're starting to really internalize everything. You're trying to hide it. You don't really want to make it a thing. Like, somebody that would actually hop into community centers and get help are typically not in that space yet where you're finding these people. So that's why the firefighters and cops see them all the time, because we go to the houses after a suicide attempt or after a domestic violence situation. But the answer isn't lock them up. The answer isn't just grab them and lock them up and make their lives even harder. So that's a good question.
I think you answered the question. So firefighters, police officers deal with these things. Now, if there was a way to fill the gap where And you might do this already. Hey, there's a group of people that can use some services here. You know, here's some, you know, maybe somebody does a house visit with them, somebody with co-behavioral service, somebody with, and it's almost like, I think so much in our world with medical care, with all kinds of different things, we rehabilitate, you know, we're reactive. But if there are ways to be proactive, okay, so, you know, Scott, with your experience, you can anticipate that this family here having some issues. And hey, Scott, why don't you direct them to family services here? Maybe they can get some help.
So that's a great point, because that infrastructure is in place for certain things like child abuse, as an example. Like that's a direct funnel to, if you see something, say something and taking it down. Same with elder abuse. But then there's that swath of humanity in the middle. It may not be an abuse situation. It may be, it's almost like self-abuse is what you could see it. But unless they're threatening suicide or they've said certain things, you can't really take action. But I love your proactive approach of, hey, if we're seeing some needs, can we have can the firefighters, can the police have a resource? And I'm sure they're starting to work on those things, but that would be a great place to get integrated and say, hey, we've got this community connection. Can we use this resource that's available in your community?
Yeah. Hey, can I chime in on that, guys?
Yeah.
I got some information for you. So there's a great program that the city of Tucson has had since 2014. And it's something maybe, Edgar, you might want to look into as you progress through your campaign and what you're trying to achieve here. So it's called the MIST team. It's the Tucson Police Department Mental Health Support Team. And it's to reduce the number of incarcerated people with mental illness and addiction by acting as an entry point into mental health and substance use treatment. So I kind of saw it in work a little bit. I had some friends that were at the Tucson Police Department, and they were on this team, and their daily tasks were to go and visit and conversate with the ones that were struggling and get them to places like Kodak and La Frontera and some other mental health assistance facilities. And I thought it was a great program. I heard a lot of success. I mean, they were often checking on these folks. But again, this was just in the city of Tucson that I was aware of it happening. And getting them, getting a program like that countywide might be something pretty cool. Maybe it already exists, but I haven't heard of anything at this point. Yeah. So I just wanted to share that with you guys.
Dude, that's awesome, David. Awesome. We appreciate sharing. Hey, do you have enough time for us to do one more little segment with you? Keep you on?
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's do it.
Stephanie, is it okay with you that we keep him on for one more segment?
Let's do it.
I think if we take a short break, David, we'll get him back on and we'll talk a little bit more about these things that are more practitioner-based than politician.
I love it. Okay.
We'll be right back.
Yeah. All right.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltoalan.com. Again, that's selltoalan.com.
Hi, I'm Melissa Zuppi, running for the Marana Town Council. As a resident of Marana, I've witnessed the positive growth that has created a strong community where people in all stages of life want to live. Unfortunately, with growth comes traffic. One of my top priorities and goals is to work towards securing funding for the improvement of Marana's high-traffic I-10 interchanges and local roadways. Let's keep Marana moving forward together. Vote Melissa Zuppi, Marana Town Council.
Hi, I'm Ed Honey, and I'm running for mayor of the town of Marana. I can assure you that if you have water now in the town of Marana, you will have it for the rest of your life. Water is not going to go away. Our water table in North Marana has gone from 300 feet down to 140 feet at the current status. Water will be here forever. Please support Melissa Zuppi, Roxanne Ziegler, and Ed Honey for Marana Town Council.
I'm Edgar Soto, and I'm running for Pima County Supervisor District 3. I am blessed to be supported by these three important women in my family, my mom and two sisters, and I'm humbled to be endorsed by the National Organization for Women, They are confident that I will improve the lives of women in Pima County when I'm elected in November.
Join Edgar Soto in building a better future for Pima County. Together, we can create good jobs, protect our environment, and ensure everyone has the opportunity to thrive.
Vote Edgar Soto.
Welcome back to Local Marana Live, and we were just having too great of a discussion to let you go.
Yeah.
And we did have we had a little time left,
Yeah.
and I love what we're talking about, because one of the things that what you keep doing is you keep trying to drive to solutions, and that's kind of what you mean with that. You have a campaign slogan that's like practitioner, not politician.
Yeah.
Right. And so tell me why that matters to you, and why that slogan was kind of the one that set you off on this campaign.
So politics has been a space where people are just not fans of, right? I mean, you think I talk about the duopoly and how we're just fighting back and forth, and I wanted to make it clear that, like, I'm not part of that, you know. And there's some really, I've met some quality people that are in elected positions and doing their best. But I want people to know that, like, I'm not just saying this, I've lived it. You know, I'm a practitioner in that I've been an educator. I've been someone who's tried to help people get on the right track for them to be successful. You know, David brought up those resources, right? And it kind of triggered something, or reminded me of something that I remember experiencing. So I was playing in my 15 over softball at Santa Rita Park. Lots of homeless people out there. But what's unique about our team, it's all my friends that I grew up with. So half the team are, you know, former police officers, sheriffs. The other half, I mean, firefighters. I got firefighters there. Al Pesqueda, you might know him. I don't know. And then the other half, I've got a few guys that did some time, you know, took some different routes, but everybody's on track. So I talked to a buddy of mine, Peter Galvan, who was in the SWAT, over 1,000 calls in SWAT. I said, Peter, what can we do? Look back here. Look at all these homeless people thinking, like, what's going on? He says, you know, when we had the most success was when we used to, you know, have a situation, instead of taking them to jail, we took them to some services like Gospel Rescue Mission, Salvation Army. So I started to think, yeah, you know, that might be something that David brought up, that, you know, where we can direct people.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to some of the people that are there in the outfield. I'm playing center field, and I asked them, and I'm like, hey, so what's going on? What are you doing? And I was talking to this guy, Austin, and African-American gentleman, and we're talking. I'm talking like, what's going on? Just some hard times. And he's trying to get a job. He's trying to get some medication. And I said, and he's missing a leg. So I'm thinking, maybe he was in the military, you know. I said, hey, what happened to your leg? Oh, man, I got the sugar. I said, what? I got diabetes. And I said, you know, can you get to resources? Yeah, but I'm having trouble with my access and this and that. And I kind of gave him a card of somebody I knew that worked for one of the co-behavioral services. But somebody getting out there and having a one-on-one conversation and guiding them. So
yeah, having a community where people actually talk to each other, talk to their neighbors, know what's going on with their neighbors. Yeah. One of the things that we would always say in mental health with the fire service is, in order to know if somebody's struggling, you have to know what their baseline is. Because if you don't see them every day or interact with them, then you don't know if they're off or not, right? It's just like, oh, that's just that guy being that guy. But if you get to see your community and you're engaged in your community, then you know when something's not quite right. And I think a couple of the other topics that I've been hearing are important for the District 3 residents is like infrastructure, right? You touched on infrastructure as it relates to Ajo. But we kind of have an infrastructure challenge in District 3 and in Flowing Wells and in some of those areas too, right?
Yeah, you know, infrastructure is such an important piece of it with the roads and buildings. And, you know, there's a lot of buildings that exist that would be great for business and industry to make their home. And we want business and industry that are going to have good paying jobs, you know, not just factories type stuff, but good paying jobs. So when a while back, I went to this event over at the Fox Theater, which a bunch of site selectors, these are people that are scouts and go look for these big companies and find out where's their best place to make it home. And Tucson's right up there. Southern Arizona's right up there. But here's what they want to make sure of. They want to make sure that we have roads that don't have potholes everywhere. They want to be able to, they want to make sure that our city, our county, and our authorities all get along. So the political part is important. They want consistency and they want predictable policies and laws so that they know if they're going to go purchase this land, then they're not going to have to sit on it for an extra 3 months and pay X. So all these things are important if we want to attract business and industry, because we want responsible development. Yes. Responsible economic impact, not somebody that's just going to kind of pillage our communities and then leave and make money. No, somebody that's invested in our community, somebody that's going to do something that's going to be sustainable for generations. So the infrastructure is key. And there's a lot of buildings and places that, you know, we could do some positive things with. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I know at Pima at the downtown campus, like those cool neon signs, you know, we got some other places there that we're trying to bring up to speed. So
and that Pima plays a crucial role in infrastructure because to attract a business, you need an educated workforce,
skilled
in the community.
Workforce. You hit it on the money, man. You could have set that better up on a tee for me. No, because that's the other part that all of these people said is that you have to have a skilled workforce, and community colleges are vital for that. So we've got to work with business and industry. All this is intertwined. What's good for Scott Robb and the fire department and Live the Dream is good for, Pat Mitchell out in Ajo, Arizona. You know, all these things kind of intertwine. And if we can just kind of have a wider lens when we see things and not get so, hey, I got to keep my stuff. No, how can we work together that we can attract the best opportunities for our communities? But thank you for setting that up, because workforce development is huge.
Right. Right. And most people that have been here a long time in Southern Arizona are here because they truly love it. Like, they love the nature. They love the ball fields. They love the saguaro cactus, like all of the staples of it. And so I'm assuming that that's also a topic of, you want growth, you want infrastructure, but you also don't want to decimate the desert with warehouses just to accommodate that.
You know, that's something that we've got to be really strategic about, because growth is coming to Southern Arizona. Everybody says that. You can forecast that, right? By the year 2050, Tucson and Phoenix are going to be connected, right? Now, how do we do that in a strategic, responsible way? And the way with landscaping and all these different things going on, there's ways to do it, innovative ways to keep our natural, majestic Sonoran desert. So my son, Amauti, graduated from Mercy University in Dobbs Ferry, New York, about 30 minutes out of the city. So I go over there, and you see these beautiful structures. They're kind of dense, but people from the East Coast, they're used to, having maybe living in a condo or community room. Right. So we got to figure out those type of structures that, whether the zoning laws or whatever's going on, that we can accommodate that. And, just to make sure that we have affordable housing, right? In Sacramento, you have a place where rent's going down, housing costs is going down because they have a surplus of supply. So we got to do that in a responsible way, because if we don't think it out, people are just going to do it, and it's going to be real spotty and not real strategic. And we want to be strategic.
Right. I appreciate that, because whether you're a town official, a county official, if you're working locally, you kind of see two approaches, and you either have somebody that's pro-growth or somebody that's anti-growth. And somebody that's pro-growth is spending like a drunken sailor, saying, I don't care what your name is, come on in here. And that particular business may not be the best thing. Like, do you need 97 car washes in your town? Is that bringing those good paying jobs and the infrastructure? Because once that land print is gone, it's gone. So being able to say, we want to grow, but let's be smart about what we're growing and how it benefits the community.
Well, there's a lot of cities doing it right, like best practices. So Phoenix, right? You got these structures that are built, and underneath you got the grocery store, a restaurant, all these different things, where now you're like reducing the carbon footprint on it because they're not having to drive around, these 15-minute neighborhoods, right?
Yeah.
There's ways to do these things in a, with urban development in a positive way, and you could look at other countries and cities in those countries. You could look right here in Arizona, but we just got to be able to get everybody at the table and have these robust conversations where we talk about this stuff. Yeah.
Well, a lot of politicians or people running for office don't feel comfortable with long form discussion because they might have campaign managers that are just like, you just say the thing, just say the thing I told you to say, but then there's no substance to it. It's just, and that's why we love having you in and other folks in that are wanting to be true representatives of the community.
I really do. I don't want to get elected to be reelected. I want to get elected to do a job. If I get reelected, hey, that's up to the people if they think I've done a good job, right? But we know this. All political power is inherent of the people, right? And governments are established to maintain and protect individual rights. And that's what we got to keep at the center, our core of why we're doing what we're doing. So I'm not running to get reelected. I'm running to do a job.
Well, that's great. It's refreshing. I'll tell you that much. And right now you have a little work to go to do to get to the finish line.
Yes.
You've got some early ballots coming out in a few days. How can people set themselves up so that they can vote for you either early or vote for you at the polls? Is there any...
Well, so I think the best thing, sotoforsupervisor.com, go to my Facebook, I have Instagram, 4th of July, I want to have like 100 people or more canvassing for me for about an hour or so. I want to get the word out there. We want to make sure that people understand. And I tell my people that canvass for me and my team, hey, give them my cell number if there's an issue. I mean, I've had people that text me, hey, you need to take your sign. I don't like looking at your mug every time I drive out of my neighborhood, and I want to have a conversation. I just want to say, look, I'm trying to win an election here, and this is what my team's telling me to do. But, they need to be able to call me and say, hey, can you move your sign away? We've moved a lot of signs. Hey, it's in the way of, when I pull out. But I'm going to listen. As soon as I got, hey, you put a sign on Coach Line and Silver Bell and you busted my water line, me and 3 others. And I fixed it right away. Hey, tell me what it is. I'll pay for it. I'm going to take action. Like, I don't sit back and just wait for something to happen. I'm going to do my best and give it my best effort. I'm going to treat every community member like I'd want my own son, Amaldi, or my son, Jonas, to be treated with love and respect, but also with some accountability also.
Well, that, like I said before, that's refreshing. I appreciate the courage that it takes to actually come on and have real discussion in long form, because we get to see who you are as a person, and we wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate
and
it.
This
Thank
has
you
been
so much.
So great. And that goes to any politicians that are wanting to get involved in their communities and truly serve. You're welcome here anytime. And Edgar is setting the example as to how it should be done.
Yeah.
So
Thank
Edgar,
you.
we appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Scott.
Let's get you out there. Let's good luck in your campaign. Maybe we'll have you back. We'll have Stephanie back and see how things are going.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right.
Good luck. We will talk to you soon on another episode of Local Marana Live.
Hi, I'm Alan Murdoch. For the past 20 years, I've been buying, fixing, and selling properties right here in southern Arizona. And I want to buy your property. Whether it's a house, apartment, commercial building, or vacant land, regardless of the condition or the situation, I want to talk to you. When you sell to me, I pay cash and it's hassle-free. No repairs, no closing costs, and no commissions. If you have a property you don't want to deal with and you want a quick solution, call, text, or visit selltown.com.